Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to unbox a brand new Harley Benton, and I'm going to go over this guitar with a fine-tooth comb and tell you an unbiased reaction to it. What I find, what it sounds like, the whole 9 yards. I've really been enjoying watching all these videos about Harley Bentons. I set up one Harley Benton. It was like a $189 guitar, $192, $185. It was right in there. It had a Floyd on it, and the customer didn't want the frets to be dressed, polished, anything. So all I did was lower that locking nut, which was annoyingly high. Lowered that, set it up. I got the action at the 12th fret to 30 thousandths of an inch on the little and the big E, that low, and it didn't fret out. I did raise it up to 40 something. I thought I better do that, but get your feeler gauges, go look at your expensive guitar and see if it's 30 thousandths of an inch at the 12th fret. I just couldn't believe it, and I didn't touch the frets. I'm not saying all of them are that way, but that's the only Harley Benton I've ever touched, and I was astounded. So this is going to be the second Harley Benton I ever touched that I purchased here. So let's get the box open and see what it's like. Okay, the first thing, box looks good. Oh, what's this? A little scrape. Let's see how it sounds. Well, there's definitely something rocking in there. This way too. I just heard like a loose part. You hear that? That's not sounding too good. All right, let's crack this open and see what we got here. And I'm not planning on doing this sped up or anything. Real time. Yeah, that's not a good sign at all. You shouldn't, nothing should be shaking so much. Maybe a little tiny bit of give, but not this much. And it sounds like parts rattling. So let's see what's going on here. Oh yeah, there's something in the bottom of the box. Let's see what it is, shall we? There's something here. Huh. It's an Allen. That's all it was an Allen. Okay, the guitar is one of these three. Surprised this isn't taped. Okay. It looks like it's already got. Now this might be a little different size. Maybe it just fell out of here. Yeah, it's a little different size, a little smaller size that fell. Here's the trim arm. Okay, we'll just set the stuff right here. See what we got here. And now you can probably see which one it is. Here's another tool rolling around in the case, well, in the box. All right, here it is. Let me get this thing on the bench. Well, it is flat, but it sounds in tune with itself. Okay, here it is. Let's just look it over. Now the first thing I notice is the strings are a little bit, probably the thing I care about the least, but the strings look a little bit tarnished in a couple of spots. And here's our action. Not super low, but not super high either. The fret ends are a little scratchy. Definitely a little bit scratchy feeling. I want to look at the back, but there's some, as you can see, there's a little bit of, I don't think it's anything. I want to clean it off and get a look at the finish really good. We'll check the top over a little bit more, but I got it flipped over, so I might as well look at the back. Something's going on here. Got some slight scratching marks there. Yeah, maybe it wasn't buffed enough here. Okay, let's look at that top real close. Okay, I don't see any glaring flaws on the top. That's the one thing I find with guitars nowadays, especially Fenders. It seems like, in Epiphones too, it seems like they really care about the finish more than the fretwork. I really find that. Let's check out the headstock. I like how they have their name. It looks kind of classy with that chrome decal. And the reason they called it Harley Benton was because Harley, for the Americans who like Harley Davidson, and Benton they thought sounded British. Well, Harley doesn't help me because I'm not a Harley Davidson motorcycle guy. No, I need something that's smooth and powerful. I don't want to be vibrated to death. I have a Yamaha 1100, XVS 1100, which, being a nice bike, I'm just not into that whole throbbing V-twin thing. Here's your natural binding. Come on, focus it up. Some little mark right there. There's a little imperfection. So there are little imperfections in this paint. This isn't a PRS. You can see one right there in the middle too, whatever that is. But all in all, pretty nice. But yeah, a little scratchy on the fretwork. I'm not going to make you bleed or anything, but a little bit scratchy. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the measurements the way it came. The neck is so straight, and I don't mean without, imperfections. I just mean it's set so straight that 2000s I don't think really fit in here when I was depressing. Well, I got a capo on the first fret, and I was holding the 22nd fret. Look at it. That's nothing. Here, let me show you the E string. Okay, I'm gonna press down on the 22nd fret. You gotta see this. See if I can get a really good shot of this. Look at that. It's almost nothing. Usually you'll get more than that. Yeah, this is far higher than I expected it to be. Be good for slide. But anyway, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the measurements. All right, here's your specs. About 2/1000ths of an inch relief at the 12th fret, holding the 1st and 22nd fret. The nut is a little high for my taste, of course. 20/1000ths at the 1st string and 23/1000ths at the 6th string. The action at the 12th fret is 49/1000ths. The frets are 54/1000ths tall, so that's pretty cool. Now the next thing we've got to do is the nasty. The one thing that's really aggravated me as of late, and I made money off it, it's putting money in my pocket, but I'm so angry at the way Fender ships guitars out, and other companies too, but I mostly work on Fenders. And like some will have like 12 or 14 frets not seated all the way because they don't take the time to squeeze the fret in and hold it a second. It's just like, which I've mentioned in other videos. If you look at the Mexican factory, it'll show a guy putting in frets, and he kind of sticks the fret a little bit so it'll hold in, and he just taps it and he goes along the whole thing. Then he's got one of those devices with the arm. It's kind of like a drill press, and he goes like this, and it's just like doom, doom, doom. It's, I mean, the frets should be squeezed in, I would think, all at once and held for like 30 seconds. Let them sit down on all the way in 30 seconds. It's like the most important thing they do the quickest. So anyway, this is going to tell the true quality of construction in this guitar right here, at least with the neck. So let's do the nasty. Okay, for this, I'm just going to go right up the center. Let's just see how many are high right up the center. So far, so good. Oh, wow. Are you kidding me? That is good. It's got to be one. Come on. Oh, that one. We've got a little tiny bit. Wow. Oh, a little bit here too, but not much. So up the whole center, there's 2. Now, if this was a Fender, there would have been at least 8. At least 8. Wow. I'll work on the size a little bit. That's impressive. Definitely, even though there's that tiny bit, there's a little bit there. Still, compared to a Fender, way better. Oh, there are some. There's a couple high frets. See, because this wasn't not high in the middle. A little tiny bit there. A little bit there. But what I've seen so far, it's really a tiny amount. when you get 2/1000ths of an inch, it's like clanking, and that's not much. Yeah, there we go. There's one. A little bit there. See, with the way this neck is, you could get low action without worrying about the frets being a little bit high, because they're not like super high. None of these have come anywhere near 2/1000ths of an inch. This is the stuff I'm interested in. A little tiny bit there. There's some there. So we do have some, though I have to admit it's way better than like a Vintera, a Player, and some American Strats too. So I'm impressed so far with this fretwork. These frets are put in pretty well. Let's try to get a look at them. On Fender guitars, you can physically see the fret not being down all the way. Now, I have worked on stainless steel frets at least once, and it was a Warmoth neck, which costs an awfully lot of money. Costs a lot of money, and an awfully lot of money. And it took a little longer, but it wasn't a big deal. So, man, I'm impressed with the fretwork. The fretwork's pretty good. The little bit of scratchiness here, I mean, that's not the end of the world. Just the fact that they're stainless, and once this is set up, the frets, you know, apparently they say last forever. I don't know. Getting like a blue haze, a blue tint, when in fact it's green. So I gotta say, I do like the fret job. Obviously, like for me, I like it perfect, so I'll make it perfect. But I mean, for a guitar in this price range, it's outlandishly good. It's really, really good fret job. All right, now these tuners, feel good. They feel really nice. And you know why I'm here trying these tuners, which all feel pretty stout, is that I have never found tuners ever to make a guitar go out of tune. Even crappy tuners that have a lot of slop in the gears, I have never found them to make a guitar go out of tune ever. The cheapest guitars I've been able to make stay in tune. You know, I like to do this the method, putting the string on where it locks, and I stretch them really good. And if the nut is smooth and there's no binding and it's lubricated, people like locking tuners. To me, the only real benefit is it's super fast changing the strings. I don't find that locking, tuner helps string, stability. I've just never found that. People say that all the time, but I haven't found that at all. So I'm not familiar with this WVS 52K bridge. I have had Wilkinson bridges in the past. Let's get the trem arm. I thought that it was threaded. You pushed it in, then it was threaded. This obviously isn't. And I know on the earlier ones, this switch used to just go here like that. And now they changed it to that. It certainly feels good. Volume feels better than this one. Okay. Going in about that deep. Here we go. Oh, now it doesn't want to come out. Take it back a little bit. Come on now. That's wiggling again. Seems to be a lot of spring tension on this. Maybe I'm just used to lighter strings. There we go. I think this has 10s on it. With a 25-inch scale. It's still a little... It's good, but there's a little bit of looseness there. Can hear it. Okay. Probably time to try this truss rod. Is that what this tool is? It's got to be what it is. Oh, it doesn't really fit in there. Oh, it does. Now I assume, get myself in trouble here, I assume this is a two-way truss rod. Man, it's tight. Which I don't like two-way truss rods. You know why? It's because you never really know how stout your neck is, because the truss rod's holding it. It seems like it's doing something all the time. I want to give it a little bit of relief, just to do it. Yeah, I'll probably go over this with some 400. Make it a little easier. Let's just see what's going on here. Yeah, we're getting some relief here. Okay, no worries with that. Now let's you see this goes for here. I mean, a little while back when I bought a brand new Fender Jazz bass, they sent me a wrong Allen. Okay, so we got all the right Allens here. Something Fender couldn't do. I know that's a real difficult thing, right, Fender? Bashing Fender. Hey, do better. You got the biggest name in guitars and you're dropping the ball. So let's look in the cavity in the back, see what that looks like. Okay, we're gonna look in there. Ooh, pretty tight. What's going on here? What's this? That's something right there. What is that? It's like part of the plastic. Little rings. Looks like your normal. All right, let's get a little better look. Okay, looks pretty neat in there. It has a Korean-made alpha pot. Let's give it the loose test. It's loose. How about the tone? Tone's tight. I did check the neck screws. They were tight. So I'll have to tighten up that volume pot. It looks like your standard, you know, stuff in this price range. All this kind of came off these. Yeah, this is a little ratty looking. Here, let's put it like this. Like if you look at the cut job on this, that's pretty chop suey. And that is a little, you know. So this is the good side, right? Is that the plastic? Yeah, this is the good side. It's got the plastic film on it. Yeah, it looks a little rough. And then all these guys came off the corners. Okay, so let's look at this guy too. Let's see the other one. How is it cut? That one seems a lot better than this guy here. This guy here was a little gnarly. So while I've got this off, I might as well tighten this. Okay, now before I put the back plate on, I'm going to just test it. Okay, it's all good. We'll put the back plates on in now. Okay, here's something I noticed. What is that? Because when I turn this, it looks like there's either the chrome's not on or else it's the same thing. Some kind of lubricant. Let's give it a little touch with the Allen. Oh, whatever that is, it doesn't want to come off. What is that? Okay, I'm rubbing it with a alcohol prep. And it looks like that's coming off. Oh man, I tried to scrape it. It didn't want to budge. First I thought the chrome was bad. Yeah, it just needs to be cleaned. Okay, as for the neck pocket, it looks awfully tight on this side. And on the other side, not quite so tight. See a gap there. Okay, I got a cable on the first fret, and I have lowered the bridge and every saddle to its lowest setting, and it's at about 32 thousandths. That's about as low as it wants to go, because I was wondering about the E string, if it's going to be able to go as low as I want. Now, I haven't done any work to this guitar. This is like straight out of the box, so that's 32 thousandths. Let's see if it frets out anywhere, because I mean that's pretty good. We're not worried about if it's in tune or anything. We just want to see if it's going to fret out. Wow. I think they're 10s. All right. Let's see, where did it snap? Right at the edge there. Let's try the lower strings. That's stupid low. So if this was a Fender, so with the, when I checked the frets with this, I mean, the ones that were not exactly, you know, flat with each other, they weren't like rocking like crazy. There was just like a tiny little bit. I mean, we're talking less than 1/1000th of an inch. A big one is 2/2000th of an inch, and you can hear it clunk, clunk, clunk. And none of these really did that. So really, if you buy this guitar, you don't have to worry about getting the frets. I mean, I might, because I'm crazy that way. I might not. I just might polish them. I just don't, probably, and do the ends just a little bit. And they don't feel so bad as they did before. It's some kind of magic voodoo with these Harley Bentons. There's a little there, but it's really not much. So the neck will go that low. It'll go 32/1000ths of an inch and not fret out. That's pretty awesome. So it passes that test totally. That's impressive. One point I want to make when I put this kind of volume pots back on, you see they have the set screw. I like to have the set screw facing my line of sight, so I know the guitar is on 10. You know, infinity, as Nigel Tufnell would say. So that's just something I do. You might want to consider that if you want to know if you're set to maximum. The intonation was spot on. Not close, not almost, but it was perfectly intonated. Okay, as for any neck dive, the neck diving thing, see how it neck dives a little bit? I mean, just put your arm there, that ends. So any guitar I'll stick up for if it does this a little bit, because it just doesn't really matter. You put your hand there, you end up, it doesn't move anywhere. So I wouldn't say that's any issue at all with this guitar. Except for the breaking string. About 7/8. And that's with a hang tag. 7 pounds, 8 ounces. Okay, let's try to get a look at some of these fret ends here. You can see that they gouged the fretboard pretty good. See that? Look at the gouges they put in there. Yep, somebody's got the wrong file. They absolutely are using the wrong file. Through my files here. Is that it? Yeah, you see this file? It's flat. And then it has its edge. Wouldn't that have made more sense to use that? Because it's not going to hurt the fretboard. It's just going to touch the fret end. And you can see the file mark there. Right. Let me see if I can hold it really still there. You can see the file mark on the fret end. So, yeah, that mark right there. And this one up the fretboard, that's, consider with the tax it's $392, but that is a little ham-fisted there. I don't really care for that. And it seems to get a little bit better. I told you, if I see something, just because I really dig this company and all the reviews I've been seeing, I'm still going to show it to you. Yeah, the finish, there is issues in the finish, but there's nothing really, like no big drips or anything, but I have seen a couple of flaws. Let's look at the other side of the fretboard. All right, here's the money side that you look at. Same thing. If somebody's going fast and I think using the wrong file or not using it correctly. So, you know, some of the videos about this guitar, they're making this thing sound like a $3,000 PRS. I assure you it's not. I mean, it is awesome, but it's not like the super perfect, not one fault. I mean, this is $392 with tax. You can't, you know what I mean? But with just a little bit of setup, I mean, you're gonna have a wicked playing guitar with a lot of cool features like the locking tuners, stainless frets that you probably won't ever wear out. Got this Wilkinson trim. I like this sort of binding look there. It's pretty cool. It's and you know, like, remember this thing, how this thing looks? It's pretty gnarly looking. But all in all, this is, you know, it looks like it needs to be buffed right there a little bit more. All in all, though, you know, I mean, it's a pretty awesome guitar. You know, you always get that for the money thing. I think it's a good guitar regardless, but there are a couple of little things like I've shown you that, you know, tell you this isn't, you know, a $2,500 guitar. But I would say the biggest thing, the biggest letdown to me would be someone doing work like this. And there's something you got to consider. Let's talk, okay? Can we talk? When you're watching those YouTube videos and the guys are pouring all over this guitar, some of them got the guitar sent to them. They're ringers. You know what that means? They've been set up to the nines. I mean, like, you see that? Oh, that right there? That Squire I paid $100 for? It's been set up to the nines. I did it. It plays awesome. It plays great. But before that happens, then, you know, it's like this. So you have to remember that when you're watching YouTube. Don't ever think you hear somebody say, oh, this guitar is perfect. It's so awesome. It's the best. Don't assume that you're going to go and buy one, you know, and it's going to be like that. Like if you're watching a Sweetwater review of a guitar, you think they're going to tell you, yeah, most of these come with scratchy fret ends and the frets aren't seated all the way. They're there to sell guitars, not to tell you the faults. So you always must consider that when you buy a guitar. That's why, as much as I wanted this to be like that, like the other reviews, perfect, I want to be honest. I'm not going to BS somebody over a $392 guitar with tax. But I like it. And, oh, here's a flaw. I just noticed a flaw sitting here. Right here. I can't help it. It's a curse. I notice everything. I really do. My wife's like, how did you notice that? Well, I just do. So you're not getting a perfect guitar. You're getting an awesome guitar for the money. There's no doubt. This is heads and tails far above a lot of other guitars. But I just want you to know, I'm not picking it apart. It's just not a perfect guitar. You're not going to get a perfect guitar unless you pay a perfect ransom of cash, which is ridiculous. I mean, this is the kind of guitar with, you send it to a guy like me, and you will have one awesome playing guitar. And with these stainless frets, you'll probably never have to worry about the frets wearing out. So, okay, so before we get to the pros and cons, my total disclosure, these are the frets that rocked with the rocker. None of them are like really extreme. They're pretty mild. And the way you know they're mild is I've got the action all the way down. And when I was bending notes, it didn't fret out. So this is like a pretty mild case compared to like a Player or Vintera or even some USA Fenders. This really, we won't worry about that. Okay, here's the cons. The fret ends were just a little bit sharp, and I mean just a tiny bit. I didn't even really need to mention that, but they are just a little bit. One thing that's definitely a con is, why did they chew up the fretboard so much? That's definitely a con. The trim cover is pretty nasty. The goop that was on the truss rod adjuster, and there's still some in there, you can see. And some minor finish, like this one here, one of the ones that sticks out to me there. That's a finish flaw right there. See, you can barely tell it. It's not much. Those are the cons. Now the pros are these stainless steel frets for sure, and they're put in pretty well. And another big plus is they're tall. They're 54 thousandths. A jumbo fret is usually 110 wide, which these are not, and they're 55 thousandths tall. These are 54. These are pretty close to being jumbo frets. They got some meat, some height. I love that. I like that. We got this Wilkinson bridge, really nice. The locking tuners are so smooth. Very nice locking tuners. And it doesn't have paw ferro like Fender puts on all those guitars. I hate that crap. This, they say it's ebony. Well, it's not like black ebony for sure, but it looks beautiful and it feels really nice. So that I really like. And it has that Tusk XL nut, which I will have to cut. So my review is this guitar, while not perfect, is really a really incredible guitar. Once I set it up, I've already played it a little bit with these 10s, which I don't use 10s, but I already know I'm going to really like it. It feels really good. So I'm really looking forward to doing my little tweaks, cutting the nut, and I'll probably treat the fretboard, and I might polish the frets, because frets can never be polished too much. Although they're nice frets though. They really are. So that's it for me. It's a 2 thumbs up for me, especially at $392. You figure for you probably, by the time you take it to your tech, $392, add like another $140. I charge $140, so you're talking about what, $520. You got a really awesome guitar that's going to play great. The frets are going to last who knows how many years. So this is a thumbs up for me totally. So that's my review of the Fusion-T by Harley Benton, and I was hoping I wouldn't have almost anything to complain about, but there's no way I'm going to leave things out. And just remember that if you see reviews on this guitar, there's no way some of them are as perfect as people are saying. I mean, some guys, you think they're talking about a PRS, like a really nice PRS. And I mean, I wouldn't compare this with a PRS. Will it play as good as a PRS? When I'm done with the nut and that, I know. Because money doesn't, you don't need to spend a ton of money to have a guitar that plays like a really expensive guitar. If anybody thinks that, then they don't know anything about setting up guitars or fretwork or any of that crap. You don't need a ton of money to have a great guitar. So anyway, So my review is not going to have any sound because there's so many other guys that are better guitar players than me, and they've already done that, so you can easily hear what this sounds like. But I just wanted to, you know, look at this particular one sent to me. It's not a ringer. It's not a ringer. And it's got a couple things, as you saw, but all in all, it's like 2 thumbs up for me. So anyway, if you like this, consider subscribing. Hit the thumbs up. Anyway, that's it for me. Take care, everybody.